I hesitated a little choosing that title for this sermon because I was afraid it would seem trite or certainly easy. But the reason I chose it is it does actually mean something to me, and most people are familiar with that, not with the actual dark message that the show itself, Cabaret, has. There's truth in it. For many people in New York in particular, there is and was a deep meaning in the piano bar and cabaret world, a meaning that was tied to community. Now, when I use the term cabaret here, I'm really talking about piano bars, many of which in New York also had performance spaces. In their heyday, before the city's economics caused many to close, there were dozens, drawing people every night of the week. There was, to name a few, the Duplex, Rose's Turn, Don't Tell Mama, Brandy's, 88's, Waverly, Jan Wallman's, Five Oaks, Danny's, Judy's, Helen's, Oh Johnny's, The Monster, Marie's Crisis, Echo d'Italia, and Stonewall. Many of them are gone today, and that is sad, but they had a wonderful place, and they leave a lasting message. Each one of these crowds had its own regulars, in a way, almost a congregation. The way I was introduced to cabaret was in the early 1980s. I met a fabulous performer named Jay Rogers, and anyone who knows Jay knows an incredible person he was. Jay worked at 88's, and a friend of mine, Donald Hill, who was a good friend of Jay's, who was an interior decorator, said I should go there and meet him. So I did one night. It was a weekday. I don't remember for sure if Jay was even working that night or not. The place was busy, but not packed. So I sat at the bar for a few hours watching amazing talent sing. Amateurs, pros, not singing for money, singing for the sheer joy of it. And the joy came through. What you got out of these evenings was joy. I was enthralled. I've always envied people who can sing and play. And here they were doing both beautifully in a space that felt alive. At that time in my life, I was looking for a place that belonged. I had begun living mostly in New York, leaving behind my Boston circles, and going back and forth every week as I wasn't really helping me build new friendships here in New York. And remember, this was before social media. Friendships had to happen in real life. At 88's, I found what I was looking for. I became a regular, hanging out there many nights, way too many nights, I think. Not for any particular reason, but it felt like home. And I built a wonderful new circle of friends, including people like Fred Barton, Elena Bennett, and Scott, who remain important parts of my life today. Like any community, people drift away. Sadly, some pass on. Things change. I hate to admit it, but I'm older now. I go out less, entertain less, but my desire for community hasn't lessened. And the memories I have of those days in the cabaret world are among the best in my life. And whenever I think of them, I smile. And that's what makes memories wonderful, is when you just smile. You don't consciously do it, you just do it. And the saying, life is a cabaret, resonates for me because life is about community. Since humans stopped being hunter-gatherers and began living in villages, community has been central to our existence. Without thinking about it consciously, we seek others to share life with, people who share our values or interests. Community is as essential as food and water. What I found at 88's, and what others found in piano bars across the city, was a community. A group of like-minded people who love performance, music, and each other. You know, if someone didn't show up for a while, people started asking, where's so-and-so? Is everything okay? Someone would finally go check and report back. In many ways, it was a living, breathing version of Facebook. Same thing went on long before anybody thought about putting it on the internet, before the internet. And what makes a community isn't just shared interests or shared spaces, it's caring. Now, caring is a word that can sound syrupy. It makes people uncomfortable. But look at Facebook, or look even more so at GoFundMe accounts. They succeed because people care. You don't have to hug everyone you meet to care about them. You don't have to cry over every piece of news to care. Personally, I care deeply about everyone at Chelsea Community Church and many people in the wider community. But I'm not big on hugs. I had to remind the board shortly after they hired me that if they wanted warm and fuzzy, they had the wrong guy. But I will do anything I can to help someone, so that's caring. And that's why the word shouldn't be as off-putting as it is, particularly to a lot of men. American culture glorifies the independent individual and makes it hard to admit we care. But if you reflect on your own life, you'll find many people you care about, even if they're not your closest friends. Chelsea Community Church is celebrating 5 special Sunday Pride events this month. We are not a gay church, whatever that means. We're not MCC. We're a community of people who 50 years ago came together because they were looking for a spiritual home they hadn't found elsewhere. They accepted everyone, all faith traditions, all sexualities, all economic backgrounds, and built a loving, caring community. Independent churches like Chelsea, with no denominational backing, no membership rules, rarely survive 50 years. But Chelsea Community has done it because at its core, it's a community. It's not just a word in the title. It doesn't matter where we meet. We meet in this lovely old church, but that doesn't matter. We're not a building. We're about people. The piano bar world has shrunk, but its spirit remains. Likewise, Chelsea Community Church has grown smaller as people move away or move on. But we are here. We are open to all. A quick anecdote about someone asked me as I came in whether I'm a cabaret singer. When I owned 88 for the last couple of years it was around, I'd throw a couple big parties a year. That was the only time I would sing. Now let's be honest, I cannot sing. So Bobby Pico, an incredibly talented accompanist, always accompanied me, bless him. So one time before we started, he said, Dollface, come here. Before we start, please don't listen to the piano. Now, even I knew that was a strange instruction. And I said, what? He said, well, when I figure out what key you're sort of singing in, you hear me and you change keys. So if you don't listen, maybe I can stay with you. So that gives you an indication of not only how badly I sing, but how badly I understand music. But that was Bobby. Bobby didn't say, you need to learn better. You need to do this. He gave me some advice to make the performance possibly better for me and for himself and for the audience. That's community. When 88's closed, as so many piano bars did, it was because of skyrocketing rents. I tried to save it, was able to negotiate a new lease, renovated the space, but the economics couldn't be overcome. In fact, the space that 88's was in had 3 or 4 places going to fail right after it. The economics of what happened back then were terribly hard to accept. Today's celebration is about community, both past and present. The piano bar world embodied the best of community, and so does Chelsea Community Church. We revolve around community, not creeds, dogmas, or beliefs. Like piano bars, we have shrunk over time, but we remain open, welcoming, and hopeful. Growing a church today is very hard. People are busy. Many aren't aware of their need for spirituality or community. And we can't draw on what I call denominational loyalty. If you were brought up Episcopalian, when you decide to go back to church, you go to an Episcopal church. Nobody's brought up community church. So we don't have that automatic trail, oh, I'll go find a new church, and I'll go to a community church. So our job is to spread the word. There is a place here where everyone is welcome, where you can find a spiritual home, even if you didn't know you needed one. Even I, an ordained minister, feel awkward visiting new churches. When do you stand? When do you sit? When do you kneel? There's nothing more embarrassing than being in the front row and standing up when everyone else is sitting down. Here at CCC, we try to make it easy. We give pretty clear instructions, and maybe the most important part of our church is the coffee hour. People gather to share, to connect, and support each other. Once on a flight back from London, a Brit told me, we were talking about religion, and I said that I had left the Catholic Church and gone to an Episcopal church as a teenager because of coffee hour. And he looked at me and he said, you understand the Anglican rite of coffee. That's the important part. Community isn't built necessarily in the pews, and it isn't built in a liturgy. So I leave you with this. Community is central to our existence. It's worth the effort to find one. And while social media connects us, remember, Facebook friends aren't the same as real-life friends. In my world, if someone can't bring you soup when you're sick or help you move, they're not friends. As valuable as online connections can be, we need people to sit with, laugh with, and lean on. That's what you'll find here. And finally, an invitation. Consider coming back to Chelsea Community Church in person or on Zoom. Bring a friend. Help us grow this community again, back to the 140 members I think it had at its peak. We welcome everyone. We judge no one. And you might just find something here you didn't even know was missing from your life. Especially in New York, finding community can be hard, but it's worth it. Life is a cabaret, old friend. Come to the cabaret here at Chelsea Community Church. Amen.